Hello everybody, I am Arpita Pal, your educator, and I am back with a new course in which we will be discussing about world history, or we will be studying world history, which is an important topic from GS paper 1 point of view for your UPSC CSE mains examination. So we will begin in a while, but before beginning I have an important announcement for you all. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel Arpita Sharma Classes to have the daily Hindu news analysis and analysis of various important topics which are important from preliminary as well as mains examination point of view. So you can simply press the bell icon and never miss an update. Let's begin. Firstly, I need to give you a gist or the summary about the topics that will be covered in this course. Okay, so in this course we will be discussing about, or we will be studying the American Revolution, Russian Revolution, French Revolution, imperialism, Nazism, fascism, unification of Italy, Germany, and analysis of the bipolar world and the Cold War, the unipolar world, and the disintegration of USSR. So all these topics will be covered in the course. And because they are very important topics, so we have just designed the course in a way that these topics are covered, and which will be very helpful or will be very beneficial for your GS paper 1. So let's begin. Firstly, dealing with the American Revolution, right? Today we are discussing about American Revolution, which is the first topic of the course. So American Revolution, I need to give you a gist or a background of American Revolution first. Firstly, American Revolution is said to be the contemporary to Industrial Revolution. Now, Industrial Revolution began in around 1750s, right? So, 1750s in England, or England was going through a series of revolutions, like the Industrial Revolution was there. And Industrial Revolution, though the topic doesn't cover Industrial Revolution, but I can just give you a summary or a simple note that how Industrial Revolution took place in England when the factory system or the machines basically dominated the economy. Then that was the Industrial Revolution or the phase of Industrial Revolution, right? So in England during the 1750s, Industrial Revolution was taking place. At the same time, American Revolution took place in America, right? Hence, we can also say that Industrial Revolution is contemporary, or American Revolution is contemporary to the Industrial Revolution. Now, America, we all know, was discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1492, as well as the name is derived because a navigator who also discovered the Americas, or the name America is based on the name of the navigator, Italy-born navigator, the Amerigo Vespucci. Also, we can determine or also we know that there were 13 colonies at the east coast of America which were under British colonialism, right? So Britishers were colonizing the whole world. They were colonizing India, or India was a colony of the British. Also America was, or there were 13 colonies that belonged to the British Dominion at the east coast of America, right? So America was also a colony before being independent. It was also a British colony, like India. Like India gained independence in 1947. Similarly, what were the events that occurred that led to a revolution in America? Why was it a British colony? What were the benefits of America as a colony to British? We will discuss everything in this lesson. But this revolution, or how the revolution took place, can be divided into 4 phases, right? What are the 4 phases? Firstly, 1600 to 1730s. That was the period of colonial settlement by the Britishers. That why did the British or the other people colonized America? What were the causes that was the phase during the 1600 to 1730s. Then from 1730s to 1750s, Britishers started ruling over America, and from 1750s to 60s, there were some factors which gave rise to the revolution, or which revolutionized the people of America. There were certain factors. At the end, in 1776, the American Revolution took place and America got independence. So, what were the causes? What was American Revolution? How it took place? We will understand everything. Now, the origin of American Revolution can be traced back to the Renaissance period. The Renaissance period was the one which further led to Reformation and Enlightenment, right? when many intellectuals, for example, the best part about world history is that you can relate, if you find it difficult to understand, simply relate it with Indian history, or the way the history took or the history was in India, right? You can always relate it with Indian history. How? See, in India also reformation took place. Various social reformers were there who were intellectuals, the intellectual class, who were enlightened, hence they reformed the society. Similar was the period in the world as well, that was a Renaissance period, or the period of rebirth, or the period of change. So during the Renaissance period, the American Revolution also sort of started to begin. Then what was one of the major factor for the revolution? That was colonization. Because if a country or if a region is being colonized or is under the rule of a foreign power, definitely the people will, or the natives will not understand or will not like it. Hence, one of the major factors for American Revolution was the colonization of America by British, because like India, the Britishers also were very much ruthless towards Americans. Hence, it was one of the major causes for American Revolution. Then the next factor was mercantilism. Now, what is mercantilism? Mercantilism was basically a term which was given and also criticized by Adam Smith. Adam Smith was an economist, and mercantilism is basically a policy of the government where the government controls all the trade and commerce and all the economy of the country. This is mercantilism. Why does the government do it? To enhance nation's economy and to control the expansion by rival countries. Okay, so this is the policy of mercantilism, which was basically criticized by Adam Smith, because Adam Smith was of the view, or he was an economist of the view, that there should be a capitalist economy or there should be privatization. Government should not interfere in the economy of the country. It should not take part in the economy of the country. The economy should be a completely capitalist one. Right. So, mercantilism, what does mercantilism lead to? It leads to discouraging imports, because once the government or the government has complete power over the economy, it leads to discouraging imports. Also, population plays a major role in mercantilism, because a large population can be very helpful as labor, because naturally industrialization was going on in the world, so population is needed as labor. Also, if we talk about America, there was the area in the south which was agriculture based, so a higher population would definitely lead to or would definitely help in the form of labor. So population can be used as labor. Then import of raw materials can take place, though not but import of raw material was from England only, right? Also, mercantilism promotes colonization, because the outside or the foreign power can easily colonize a country because of mercantilism. If the government is weak, then mercantilism takes place, and hence the foreign power can easily dominate the country. Colonies are not allowed to trade with other countries or with other powers. Also, there is a trade monopoly in case of mercantilism. Now, I just now told you that in world history you can also connect the topics with Indian history. So, an example of mercantilism is the East India Company. East India Company was a merchant export or a merchandise company, right? It came to India for trade purposes. So, when it came to India in 1600, it got a charter from the Queen of England. So, this meant that India was about to be colonized, and the government had itself given the charter. So, England was the mother company, right? The mother country. So, England asked the company not to trade with other, or basically the East India Company was or there was a trade monopoly of East India Company because the charter was issued. Also, imports were discouraged, and population of India could easily be used as labor. So, you can easily connect Indian history with world history if you find it difficult to understand at a point. Then, there were various British acts and policies that encouraged mercantilism, like the Navigation Act. You must have read it in Indian history, that Indian soldiers and Indian workers were asked to go abroad and asked to cross the seas, which was prohibited in Indian Indian religion. And then Enumeration of Communities Act, Staple Act, Enforcement Act, Hat Act. that people were asked, okay, you cannot wear hat, even if you want to wear a hat, you have to import it from England only. So these all were the factors that led to trade monopoly, and hence people were not happy with it, because mercantilism doesn't make the natives happy. It is only the company that is the company is the one which is having all the advantages. The natives do not find it very useful. Then there were political factors also which led to the American Revolution, like the royal colony. There were royal colonies, then there was a charter and the ownership. What were the royal colonies? The royal colonies were under monarch's control. I just told you that there were 13 colonies on the east coast of America, right? So there were some of the colonies which were royal colonies, which were directly under monarch's control, and they also had an assembly or a parliament, or sort of parliament. Then the charter was issued to private companies. I just now told you that the East India Company was also given the charter, issued the charter, which was also a private company, but it was issued by the government, hence it was benefiting the most. Then the ownership via land grants, for example, zamindari system, right? In India, suppose a particular land is given to a particular company, then the company has to, or the company can use it in any way. Hence, the people were then not given their own lands, because the ownership passed on to the government hands via land grants, right? So these were some of the political factors which led to the revolution, because at the end people were suffering. The natives or the citizens of America were suffering. The company was at advantage, the government was at advantage because it was a colony. Definitely England was at advantage, but the people were not at advantage, they were at disadvantage. They were the ones who were suffering. Now by 1763, the 13 colonies, all the 13 colonies became royal colonies. Royal colonies mean now England can take every decision for the colonies. So the governor and military chief, they were appointed by England. The local colonial government was also the one which controlled the legislature and executive. Also by 1750s, I told you that there was industrial revolution. At the same time, political enlightenment took place in America, and hence by 1760s, Americans demanded Swaraj, or this is basically home rule. So Americans were enlightened by 1760s, and they demanded that now we want to have our own country. We can't be ruled by a foreign power. We don't want that. We don't want to be anymore. We don't want to be slaves anymore. Hence, please free us. Now, if we look at the American society, it consisted of Americans, slaves, and Red Indians. The Red Indians basically were the natives of America, and they had brown skin, so they were known as Red Indians. Slaves were brought from Africa, which were also called Negroes, right? Because slavery was prevalent in America, so the American society consisted of three major groups: the Americans, who were the ones who were living there, and Red Indians, who were the natives. Now see, Americans were also the ones who were migrants from other countries, right? So after the industrialization of England, there were some people who migrated to England, or who were there were some migrant workers as well who migrated to England, migrated from England to America, and they were also Americans, but that was many centuries ago. So they settled in America, and they were the Americans. Then the people who used to live permanently, or who used to live before Americans in America, they were the Red Indians or the natives, and also the slaves which were brought for labor, or which were brought as labor from South Africa, were the Negroes or the slaves. Then what was the role played by intellectuals? There were many intellectuals like John Locke, who used to say that power flows from the people. So if you do not give power to the people, an economy or a country cannot flourish. So it is better that rather than having a monarchy, rather than suppressing the demands of the people, the power should be given to people. Benjamin Franklin, John Locke, these were some of the intellectuals. Also Thomas Paine wrote a book named Common Sense, in which he showed that colonization or the colonial mindset is finally degrading the American economy, America. Also Samuel Adams established a secret organization which was also known as Sons of Liberty. Now again you can relate it to Indian history, how Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who wrote many novels, who wrote many newspapers, published many newspapers. So you can always see that there is a very important role of intellectuals in a society in encouraging people to move towards nationalism, or to arousing a feeling of nationalism in people, because if nationalism is there, then only the people will demand home rule, or will demand Swaraj from the foreign rule. So the same role was played by reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy or Bal Gangadhar Tilak or V.D. Savarkar, because they published many articles, many newspapers, many novels which aroused a feeling of nationalism in people, and hence Indians also demanded Swaraj. Then when there was intellectual class, also the education or the system of education will develop. For example, various famous universities, world's best universities like Harvard University, College of William and Mary, Yale University, University of Pennsylvania, these all established. And when a population is educated, it will know the difference between right and wrong. It will know that we are being ruled by foreign power and we should have our own nation. We should be able to govern our own nation. Then economic development also took place. Naturally, if there will be educational development, then economic development will also take place. A progressive society started emerging in America, which was a liberal one as well. It was a liberal society. Then it was also materialistic, because now they wanted to earn money, so it became a materialistic society. Trade and commerce developed. Agriculture, animal husbandry, lumbering, these were all some of the major occupations in America. Then took place the Albany Congress. I told you that one of the important intellectuals was Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin wanted to create pressure groups so that they can pressurize the government and demand independence. So he invited the representatives from 13 colonies, but out of these 13, only 7 representatives, or the representatives of only 7 colonies came. But Benjamin Franklin's proposal to pressurize the government and demanding Swaraj, it was rejected. Why? Because see, Quebec was which was an American colony, was under French occupation. By 1742, it was under French occupation. So Americans basically, or the representatives of the remaining colonies, they were afraid that if we attack or if we go against the British government, we can have a possibility of a French attack, or we can be attacked by French. So 7 years war, which are very famous, they also took place, in which the French stood against the British, similar to the Carnatic Wars in India. At the same time, Carnatic Wars were taking place in India, right? So Carnatic Wars in India and 7 years wars in America, they took place. The result was that the French were defeated. Now, after being defeated, the British realized that okay, we can have another power as well, which can ask or which can demand the colony from us, or we can be defeated as well. So what did they do? They realized that now we need to change our policies. Similarly, what happened? Post 1760s, a tight control was imposed on the American colony, which was earlier quite liberal. By 1760s, tight control was imposed. Similarly, in India, Pitt's India Act was passed, and various other act, regulating act, etc. were passed to impose tight restrictions on Indian colony. Hence, in 1763, Crown's proclamation took place, which declared that the Americans cannot expand their territories beyond the Appalachians. Then American currency was not banned basically, but Americans were told not to use American currency so that the currency declines. Sugar could be expelled to England only. In 1765, the Stamp Act came. Also in 1766, a declaratory act was passed by PM Rockingham, which again which announced it that okay, all the decisions will be taken by England for American colonies. In 1760, tea was taxed upon only tea was taxed upon except the other commodities. So in 1772, Tea Act was passed. On 16 December 1773, the Boston Tea Party took place, in which Americans made sure that all the tea that has been transported from England to America, all the tea packets were thrown into the ocean. So this was also termed as the Boston Tea Party. Then as a result, in 1744, Boston port was closed and an Intolerable Act was passed. So these are all the restrictions that were being imposed on Americans, which finally led to American Revolution. Now, what was the reaction by Americans? In 1775, General Gage was sent to America with an army to fight against Americans. So now Americans realize that it's high time we should also revolt, because we need to have independence. Rather than sitting idle, or rather than being vocal about the freedom and home rule, now we have to fight. So finally, on 4th July 1776, the American Revolution took place, and it was declared independent under the leadership of George Washington. Finally, in 1783, the Treaty of Paris also took place. Now, what was the outcome of the revolution? Firstly, they got independence, in which the nationalists were against imperialists, or were versus imperialists. Lafayette, he was a French general who was sent to America to fight, but he himself was so much motivated that when he returned to France, he realized that okay, if Americans can revolt against the British colonial rule, then why can't we? So he came back to France, and he was so much motivated that he motivated the people of France to have a revolution. So finally, as a result, it also led to French Revolution. Domino effect, like I already told you, started an age of revolution, French Revolution, Russian Revolution, etc. Many revolutions took place because they were all encouraged by French Revolution, American Revolution. They realized that if the people of a country can organize themselves and fight against the British colonial rule, why can't we? So they were all motivated. Then Britain became conscious, like I've already told you, that Britain took a tight control over Americans, like in India as well. Pitt's India Act and Regulating Act was passed. So Britain became conscious of its doing, that okay, now we have to be very conscious because the people can revolt against us, and they learnt a lesson. So they became conscious. Also, American Federation was established. But there was a constitutional debate. Now, America got independence, but at the same time, a constitution was to be drafted. Now, there were differences or there were some constitutional debates while drafting the constitution. One was the Virginia plan, which said that okay, the representation in the parliament should be population based, and there should be a bicameral legislature, the Congress and the Senate. The lower house should be directly elected, and in turn the upper house should be elected by the lower house, and executive and judiciary should be chosen by the Congress. Whereas the other was the New Jersey plan. New Jersey plan said that there should be a unicameral legislature, and there should be an equal representation of people, not based on the population. By this we can see that even today the American Senate is more powerful than the Congress. So a great compromise was reached, and finally, as we see today as well, the American Congress or the American Parliament has Congress as well as Senate. But the question arose, what about the slave population? Where will they go? So it was realized that okay, 3/5 of the slaves are to be counted for seat allocation in Congress. This was the great compromise. Now, we will discuss why slavery was not abolished. We will discuss it further. Also, the fundamental rights that we take, or the Bill of Rights was passed. These were the constitutional changes that took place in America. But even after independence, a civil war took place in America during the 1860s. Why? Because the most important reason was that American Constitution was a capitalist one, or is a capitalist one. Okay, I have already told you that the society had become more materialistic, so it led to capitalistic constitution. It was much more material oriented. It was much more the capitalism oriented. It was lesser of it was lesser biased, or it was we can say that biased towards the benefit of the economy and the benefit of the materialistic class. Also, as 13 colonies merged together, they formed America. Similarly, other regions also came together and they formed the United States of America. So, when different regions came together and they wanted to have or they wanted to join America, there were regional disparities that were bound to occur. Cultural differences were also there. Also, there was a north-south divide. North was much more industrialized. The South America was based on agriculture, so it was much more agriculture based, or the primary occupation was agriculture of the people. Slavery system was there, structural issues were also there, and also the rise of Abraham Lincoln, who was hell-bent to abolish slavery. So these were the factors which gave rise to a civil war in America. Firstly, economic inequality between North and South. I have already told you, North was much more industrialized, South was based on agriculture. Slavery system was there, election of Abraham Lincoln as the President of America, and establishment of confederations. this is the main difference between North and South regions of America. North was much more industrialized and hence free and cheap labor they demanded, or they preferred free and cheap labor. Also, there was a protected tariff policy because again industrialization was there, so there were protective tariff policies. Intellectuals dominated the North region, and also in constitutional sphere they believed that we do not have a right to secede, or no colony has a right to secede because America is a federation, so secession cannot take place. Whereas South America, the primary occupation here was agriculture, and because the primary occupation was agriculture, they wanted slaves to work as labor, so they didn't want that slavery should be abolished. And raw materials were imported to England, whereas the finished goods were exported from England. Then less educated class was there, definitely because most of the people were in lumbering and agriculture. Industrialization was less, intellectual class was not present here, so they were less educated people. And in the constitutional sphere as well, they believed that we are free states, we voluntarily joined America, so we can anytime secede from American Union. We are not a union, but we can anytime have a secession from American Union. So these were the basic differences. Now question arises that how the Civil War took place, what were the reasons, and how everything proceeded from 1800s to 1860s. Firstly, in 1803, Louisiana was sold by France to America. Now this region was claimed by both the North America and the South America. In 1830s, the North demanded, or the people from the North demanded, that there should be an anti-slavery movement because they did not believe in slavery. 1854 or in 1854, the Kansas, Nebraska was a place, or it was decided finally at the location above 36° north would be a different region, and the people below 36° north line will not cross this line. Okay, so a compromise was reached upon. Finally, a Republican Party was formed which was hell-bent to abolish slavery, and in this also when judiciary intervened, which was the Dred Scott episode. It is also known as the Dred Scott episode, that Supreme Court said that no, slaves are inferior people or inferior to Americans, and hence that it should not be abolished. It is their duty to work as labor in America. This is what was said by the Supreme Court in America. Finally, in 1860s, the presidential elections took place and Abraham Lincoln won, who was from the Conservative Party. In 1861, a Confederate state, or the Confederate States of America, was formed because slowly most of the unions, they moved away from America, they broke the union, they seceded from American Union, and those states became sovereign. Finally, in 1862, slavery was abolished, and in 1864, 13th constitutional amendment was passed, which was ratified in 65. As per this constitutional amendment, slavery was made illegal. So I hope whatever I have told you or whatever we have studied, you have understood it. In case of any doubt, you can just place your comments in the comment section. I'll try to resolve them all. Thank you.